Good afternoon. Whoa. Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday. It's October the 6th, 2022. It's spoopy season. As every woman in North America runs as swiftly as possible to the nearest coffee shop to get every single pumpkin-spiced related product they can get their hands on. The Uggs come out. The weird white knitted hats. And a million pictures of leaves will appear all over social media. Starting sometime this week. It's that time of year. We got another great show lined up for you today. Thank you for stopping by. If you're here live, bless you. If you're here for the first time, whether on RSS feeds, live, YouTube, or otherwise, thank you for checking us out. We talk about video games, movies, television, a little bit of everything in between. We just kind of hack it out. Because that's where we're at life. We're hacking it out, making it work. There's a song in there somewhere. But before we start, get the most important question of the week. Mr. Black, how was your week?
Dude, this week just
disappeared.
It's just gone. I felt like you just asked me that like yesterday.
I'm right there with you. Trust me. When yesterday, it always hits me on a Wednesday. I'll be sitting there. I'll be like, "Wow, is tomorrow actually the fucking podcast again?" I feel like I only just did the podcast, and so here we are.
Yeah. I mean, it was another week. I mean, getting ready to. We're just finishing up, getting ready to close these properties. And yeah, I've just been streaming, chilling, same old shit, man.
Wonderful.
Nothing crazy, nothing out of the norm.
Well, as long as there's nothing terrible, so the water works, the dishwasher works,
dishwasher's in, everything.
Wonderful.
Everything is good. I had everything finished that night, and then I just had to screw in some screws the next day. I had to go to like the store and
buy a couple.
Yeah, I just had to get just the way the dishwasher sits where it was, you couldn't screw up into the granite. So I had to get special screws that could screw into the sides of the cabinets so that the fucking thing wouldn't
shake and rattle all over the place.
Yeah. So
awesome.
Outside of that, yeah, nothing's changed. Same old shit, different pile.
That's good. Yeah, my week was well, I wouldn't say it was another week, but it was a week. We after the hurricane happened, of course we had to delay my second grandmother's funeral, and so we did that this weekend that just passed. We got down and got that to happen. We still thankfully had a number of people that were able, friends and family that were able to show up for that despite the week delay. Some of them couldn't make it anymore because it's a relatively long trip to get there, and with the moving of the date kind of fucked some stuff up for a couple people. But I'd say probably 80% of the people that planned to be there originally still managed to get there, which was nice. And then we went down to the house afterwards, and a bunch of them came over, and we sat around and talked and ate ridiculously good food, and my aunt and uncle brought a bunch of wine with them from their winery, and so everyone was happy and in more ways than one. But it was good. It's good service. It was very nice. The weather held out for us. It was a little sketchy there. Going into the weekend, we weren't sure down there what was going to happen. And then that day, earlier in the day, the wind was just fucking Mach 4 everywhere, every direction. It was sunny, but the wind was just absolutely insane. And the graveyard that my grandparents are in is on a hill, very high up. And so I was like, oh my God, if it's this fucking windy down here, we're going to go up there and we're not going to hear a damn thing come out the minister's mouth trying to do this service. It's going to be too windy. But thankfully, by the time service came around, the wind dropped out enough, and it was nice. So we had that, and then other than that, it's been chipping away at the house. But admittedly, between between the first funeral, the hurricane, and the second funeral, we've only really been in the house to do work like 4 days in the last 3 weeks because we've not been here or incapable of doing anything. Just kind of the way it goes. And so we are, however, as of yesterday, I think, interior anyway, we've got, I think there's like one, not a door frame, but I think like one of the small windows at the front in the entryway still needs one more, like the trim work needs one more top coat. And then I think other than that, I think we're actually just ceiling paint ready now. So I've got to try and get Smitty to come over to do the pot lights in the kitchen now, so that we can have those in. Because otherwise, you're either painting first or second. And I left it up to Dad, and Dad said I'd rather paint around them than have to fucking paint the whole ceiling, and then you start drilling holes. And the thing about ceiling paint is once it's on, you don't want to fuck it, because it's like you can't, like, the light hits the ceiling, or you can't fucking get away from it. You're gonna see marks for the rest of your life. And so he said I'd rather if we could get the holes in first. So we're gonna see if we can make that happen. But otherwise, yeah, we're on to ceiling paint, and we did some outside work as well, prepping the backyard to have the truck and backhoe come in and fuck the whole backyard up. We got rid of a lot of the, or we didn't get rid of, we just moved a lot of the retaining wall cinder blocks that were back there. Get them out of the way. We'll use them for other things, but we had to move them, so we spent the afternoon doing that because there were several. Yeah, and so we're coming up on that. I think next week or the week after is the big removal and of the backyard stuff. And tomorrow I get to call and see if there's an actual finalized date for my windows. Although at this point I'm just ready for keeping the windows I have for the rest of my adult life, and not worrying about it. But I actually called them last week and left a message because I'm
gonna be ordering 22 windows here next week. So.
Yeah. Whoa! Ah! It's 22. A lot of windows. How old is this fucking building? 30?
Now the late 60s.
Oh, even older.
It's four duplexes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're all same make and model kind of situation.
Yeah, they're all built the same time. Yeah.
Original, and they're all original windows in there?
No, one of the buildings has new windows. One of them is no problem. It's two of the buildings that we'll have to replace because we're ripping out the siding on all of them, putting on all new siding. Then there's some windows that will need to be switched out. So we're just gutting out the buildings that need the new windows. We're just replacing them all so they all look the same. And then we got to put in 4 front patios. It's really weird. These houses, they have like a bridge almost that goes to the front of each house. So like it's
almost
almost
a medieval
fucking
castle with a moat.
It's like a drawbridge almost, but they're like they're metal.
Okay.
But we have an architect going over there. He was there yesterday, and he's drawing out the plans to get the permits, and we're ripping down all the concrete drawbridges, and we're like
putting in new shit.
We're putting in wood, like legit wood front. Anyway, there's a shit ton of work to be done. The
moment you hit a reno exterior where you have to hire an architect for the city to be happy just fucking kills me.
Oh yeah.
Fucking kills me. Like I feel like most people when you're supposed to do that for like when you get like put a new deck in the back, nobody fucking does it for a deck. But when you're out front and you're doing that much fucking work and there's concrete involved and all that shit, then like you can't avoid it. You have to fucking bite the bullet. And get her done. Has that been an expensive endeavor to hire the architect? How much are they charging to do that kind of work for that kind of project?
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's the total renovation costs will be about $160,000 that needs to be done between the 4 properties. So,
which is not awful. It sounds like a lot, but 4 properties, $160,000 in today's market is not very much money.
It's not that bad. 80,000 of it is the exterior, and then 80,000 will be on the units inside. but the inside ones, we're just going to do them as the tenants move out. So we'll basically give them their notice, like letting them know, like, hey, new owners, we're putting in a ton of new work. So there's just going to be work here. So it'll take 2 years, about 2 years to complete everything, because we have to basically just wait until, if they're all empty, I would literally have everything done by February.
Yeah.
If they were empty, but you can't just kick people out of their homes. So we have to wait for
people
the leases
people have definitely done that.
There are ways around it. We could do a thing called renoviction, where it's like,
the biggest dickhole move in the history of landlordism.
It's like you can say, hey, we're doing renos, so we have to evict you. We call that renoviction. But I'm not a slumlord, right? Or I wouldn't even want to call it a slumlord, but I'm not like
you're not an asshole.
Money hungry asshole. Yeah.
You're not an asshole. You're not like, all right, guys, time to get out.
We're gonna wait for them their leases to be up. We're gonna give them tons and tons of notice. They'll know like a year in advance, and if they want to move back in when all the stuff is done, they can. But yeah.
Wonderful. Excellent. Fantastic. Well, with that being said, it's time to talk about some video game news, Mr. Black. I am awake today, by the way, and I'm also warm as shit. 1 second while I get the sweater off. That's better. We're in the weird time of year where it's cold in the day and in the morning, and then in the day it starts to warm up. And the office does the same thing, and so I'll start the day in sweats, and by the time I'm in the mid-afternoon, I'm butt-ass naked down here. It's just that kind of weather. We don't have a lot of news this week, to be honest with you. Not a hell of a lot happened.
That's good, 'cause I got some shit I got to do anyway. So.
We got not as much to cover this week. However, as we covered last week, and as everyone in the gaming world probably knows at this point, including Jeff's neighbors, Stadia, after having been shut down last week, we started to see in the last week some publishers, since that shutdown, some publishers and developers come out and say, hey, we know you guys are getting done dirty, and it's probably going to be a pain in the ass and quite a process to try and refund some of the software that you bought for the service. So if it was our games, we're going to try and come up with a methodology to have you transfer your license of proof of ownership on Stadia and transfer it to another platform on PC, probably Steam, because that's 95% of the market anyway, and so that you can keep your game and not have to, if you don't want to get your money back and you want to keep your game, they're giving this avenue. One of those publishers this week has been Ubisoft. I haven't seen exactly how they're going to do it, but it should be pretty much as easy as proof of purchase. And then they'll just give you your probably a key to carry over onto whatever platform they end up going with. And again, probably Steam to make that happen. I know there's one other one that I saw. And I saw it like the day of the announcement or the day after. And I meant to write it down. I can't remember now. But there are more than just Ubisoft. Ubisoft is just the one the one of the more high-profile ones that I saw pop up that I have in my notes for this week. But there are more, and I suspect there will be a few that are all going to. Now that one or two have done it, I suspect more of them are going to try and have a similar path for people to try and keep their games and move them to other spots off of Stadia. And speaking of, I wish I had more info than I do now, but this is kind of all we have that I have been able to dig up in my time this afternoon. After the enormous success of the decorated indie game Disco Elysium, which was very well received by both critics and by players alike, it appears that multiple original leads for the game have been pushed out of the company during the development of the sequel. We don't have any reasoning as to why that is, but they were some of the founding people that were there to create the first game, and it appears, for whatever reason, they have been just kind of pushed out, and not in your typical I'm leaving to go do things in other places kind of way, but properly pushed out. And this was talked about by a couple of people and reported on in the last couple of days. So if I get any more information than that in the coming weeks, if we find out anything more, I'll let you know. But for now, that's kind of where it is. I had forgotten they're even doing a sequel to Disco Elysium. It makes sense. It did do extraordinarily well. Very good game. But you hate to see, especially in an indie developer, you hate to see people getting pushed out in the midst of a sequel, because there always seems to be, you get an indie title, huge success, growing pains into the sequel. Stuff like this can happen, but we'll have to wait and see if this is nefarious or literally just the casual and usual creative differences, which is always what you like to hear every time something like that happens. We went to the office and we had a fight over coffee, and now we're out. It's kind of how it goes. CD Projekt Red on a wave of relatively, and I'm going to say relatively, positive news surrounding Cyberpunk 2077, mostly in part due to the anime Edgerunners that has been doing gangbusters for them. Everyone talking about Edgerunners, everyone talking about how it might be the best fucking show of the season. Big things, and then running the numbers for Cyberpunk 2077 up on Steam by orders of magnitude following the release of that show. So they got some pretty positive news coming out this last few weeks. On the back of that, they announced this week several more projects for the company moving forward. These projects include a Witcher title of some kind. They just said a Witcher title. There wasn't even a description beyond that. Just it's a game, and it's about the Witcher. That's all they said. As well as more Witcher stuff. We have another Witcher project that's a sequel to The Witcher 3. As well as another Witcher project. You can see a theme here. Another Witcher project set to be a new story-driven open-world RPG, which just sounds like The Witcher. And of course, last but not least, a Cyberpunk 2077 sequel has been listed as they continue to try and make Cyberpunk 2077, the original, playable. This is weird to me to see this. I'm sure nobody gives a fuck in general about this. It'll be like, do the games come out and they're good or bad? But for me, the first thing that I thought about Mr. Black when I saw this is we know that they were like all hands on deck for Cyberpunk 2077, and it was quite a lengthy development time and a lot of resources, and everyone was just basically working to the bone, and it came out a screaming hot mess. That car rolled into the driveway on fire when it got across the line. And so for them to come out and be like, hey, we're now doing like 6, like NordVPN style, 6 simultaneous video games. 6 simultaneous video games. My first thought is, how? You guys barely survived the one! And now you're talking about like all of these and these aren't small projects. When you list 3 Witcher projects, 2 of which I should say, sound like just honest to God, same scale as The Witcher 3, and then a Cyberpunk 2077 sequel. Holy shit. So my only 2 assumptions are A, they're listing these things because they're on a bulletin board in the office. No work has actually been done on like all but one of them. They just know that they're going to eventually get around to those things in the future, and they're just trying to like prop up some numbers on the positive news they've been getting recently. Or B, they're clinically insane. I don't know which one it is. However, they did announce that they're opening a North American branch, a new North American branch to the developer. I think it's a dual studio, like an A-B situation where they've got one I think is on the East Coast in the States, and then the other one I think is on the West Coast in Canada. And so they're expanding, but my God, they barely pulled this shit off on one game. They announced 6, and they're all huge projects. God fucking speed into whatever the hell that's going to be like. But hopefully they're not as bad as Cyberpunk 2077 was across the line. I wouldn't expect any of these for a hot minute anyway. I mean, what's the soonest you're going to get a Witcher game? 6 years from now?
Not anytime soon.
It's gonna be a hot minute. Speaking of games coming across the line on fire, Mr. Black, Overwatch, which I believe you attempted to play today, or did you actually get around to trying to play it today?
I played a few games.
You actually got in.
I got in.
Wow! How long did it take? Were you playing something in the background while you were queuing, or did you actually get in?
I just queued in the background. Took like 4 hours, 4.5 hours. Finally get in, and
Okay.
many failed attempts. Like I beat the Q boss like 4 or 5 times, but then there's like errors, and they'll ask you to do the stuff with your account, and then when you do the stuff with your account, they make you jump back in queue again.
God.
It was a horrible experience, man. Like it's really. And then I played the game. It's Overwatch. That was it.
So, like, they did make a lot of changes. Like, I mean, there's 5 instead of 6 people per team now. There has been a lot of changes made for sure, but it still looks and plays like Overwatch. But for you, it felt like you were just diving right back into Overwatch 1.
The same thing. That's pretty. I don't have any other games. Game's gonna be Overwatch 1 dead in 3 weeks.
Okay. Now might be a month, depending on how long it takes them to get this queuing shit, because some people just can't even fucking play. I was literally about to say, does that include time for them to sort the queue out?
Man, that shit it's a heinous launch, man. It's bad.
So to expand upon Mr. Black's experience, which mimics much of what I have here in my notes, to say that their launch for this game has been rocky would be an understatement. And ignoring, not to say that they aren't there, but because they are, like Mr. Black was describing, ignoring the typical launch day bugs, which happens, to most live service games. Many never even got that far, as queues are in the tens of thousands, and kept most of the players out of the game entirely, thus far. Others were still locked out due to phone number requirements despite having owned Overwatch 1, and in some instances, users were told their phone numbers were already in use and couldn't get in altogether.
Yeah, I had that issue. I had to, for me to fix that, I had to log out of the actual Battle.net client that's on my computer that like automatically keeps me logged in, and then I had to go onto the website as well, and then log into my account through there, go under phone numbers, and basically refresh it, like almost remove the number and then put the number back, and then save it. Okay. And then relog back into the Blizzard client, and it worked. So I don't know if that's like a workaround or it was just I got lucky. I don't know.
Well, it sounds like it might be. However,
I don't know. I even tried making a secondary account and tried to use my phone number. They're like, your number's already in use, because before it was not letting me do it. So that's when I changed my password and I refreshed my phone number, and it worked.
Okay. Well, there you go. Hot pro tip from Mr. Black. Might work. However, it could have also just been well, that wouldn't be serendipitous timing. I apologize. I'm getting ahead of myself. However, they are changing this a little bit. So, if you played Overwatch 1, like you have a Blizzard account, you played Overwatch 1, as Mr. Black would have, for example, in the past, and many people would have, and most people I would suspect that are playing Overwatch 2 right now are previously Overwatch 1 players. They are going to be removing the requirement for your phone number if you already had a Blizzard account that had been playing Overwatch 1. Because you technically, I guess, have already paid for the game, and so, like, that was kind of the fucking thing, and I think some of it's just to get people in as well and get around all this phone fucking bullshit. However, that's not going to be a thing until I think they said their hope is to launch that on Friday, so tomorrow, as of this podcast, tomorrow. And so if you are trying to get in and the phone number thing is giving you a hard time, then if you already played Overwatch 1, at least you have that. For everyone else, well, you're fucked if you don't have a phone number, and very specifically. So it's a phone number on a carrier with a plan. It ain't prepaid. You're not getting in with a prepaid phone number or anything like that. You have to very specifically, I mean, they need you to be all the way in. On that shit. And that was another bunch of reports that I saw this during the launch on social media. A lot of people that they might have smartphones and everything, but they're just doing prepaid because they're not using their phone that frequently as a phone. They're using it on Wi-Fi and shit. They're not really using it in the sense where they're calling people or texting people via SMS. And so, yeah, they were having a bit of issues with that as well. And it will be interesting to see how Blizzard, if at all, continues to go with this policy or modify it as they try and sort all of this stuff out. But for now, yeah, bit of a fucking mess. A lot of the problems, though, as well, are stemming from the fact that they had massive and continued, and I think it's still happening now, but I haven't checked today, massive and continued DDoS attacks. Right off the rip. Two really big ones right off the rip that had Blizzard's network team basically up the entire night post-launch trying to figure shit out and move and mitigate and resolve these attacks. And this is also, of course, unfortunately, common for some shit, especially games that have a lot of heat on them. And Overwatch has got a lot of heat on it in the last year. So does the company of Activision Blizzard. So I'm not shocked that DDoSing has been a major issue for them. That will eventually peter itself out, but it's definitely not helping an already fucking tire fire of a launch. And we'll have to wait and see just how long it takes, like Mr. Black said, before all this gets resolved, so we can see what is the shelf life of Overwatch 2. Let us know in the comment section below on YouTube. 3 weeks? 4 weeks? You getting optimistic? 6? 7? Let us know. Some of you might out there be like, hey, it's going to have a revival. And God bless you. God bless you. You know what, though? I shit on it, but honestly, I kind of miss Overwatch when it was really popular and it was new because it was fun. It hadn't been balanced into the ground yet, but it still felt good enough. I wasn't raging about balance all the time in the opening, fucking 6 months of that game. And then it just slowly got more and more Blizzardized over time in terms of it's like everything has to be picture perfect, and in their attempt to make everything picture perfect, the game just slowly got more and more aggravating to play and more fucking toxic. And then of course we ended up with that long period of the meta build that never went away for like a fucking calendar year. And it was just awful and terrible, and so hopefully they've learned their lesson. But we'll have to wait for the game to run first. We'll find out. Let's see here. Surprising announcement. Very surprising, honestly. And indicative of announcements that I would like to see more often in the games industry, Mr. Black. EA came out and said, hey, we've got a Need for Speed game. It's being made right now. And by that, I mean it's basically done and damn near ready to go gold. Shit's coming out December 2nd of this year. It's called Need for Speed Unbound. And they had a trailer for it that they released today as well. It's going to be 4K 60 on modern consoles. It's using the Frostbite engine because it's EA and everything uses the Frostbite engine. And crossplay and a bunch of other stuff that was all very positive feature set that was being listed. They plan on supporting it with content for quite an extended period of time post-launch. And the visuals looked great to me. It felt like I was watching the trailer, Mr. Black, I was like, oh my God, this almost looks like Need for Speed. I haven't seen Need for Speed in a long time, but this almost looks like, if I think back to my earlier youths back in the day, Need for Speed, Underground and Underground 2 and Most Wanted. Back when Need for Speed was peak modern Need for Speed, after they got away from, they found their footing kind of with Hot Pursuit, Need for Speed 3, phenomenal game, and then they got into the tuner culture right at the right fucking time with Fast and the Furious and everything. My God, tuner culture, it was like this absolute meeting of, it was a perfect storm at the time, and they ran with it and continued it a bit with Most Wanted, and then they just lost their fucking way. Like they left home and they didn't have anyone to tell them how to do it anymore, and they got fucking lost in the sauce, and they tried to become some weird amalgamation of like Forza and other weird open world racers, and it just didn't feel like Need for Speed, and it didn't hit the same. They had flashes in spots like, oh, yeah, it's pretty cool, it's pretty neat, looks a little, plays a little like Need for Speed, it's good. Nothing hit like Underground 1, 2, and Most Wanted 1 and 2. So, hopefully, based on the trailer that I saw today, it looks like they might have found themselves again, and it would be wonderful if they did, because as much as I love Forza, It's not Need for Speed. And Need for Speed isn't Forza. And I love me a good arcade racer. And I kind of miss having a little bit more options in the market because a lot of the racers got very homogenous and all looked and played fucking basically identical. And so hopefully this does also turn out. It's got like an anime-ish looking feel to it. Like, you know, the League of Legends show Arcane, that kind of art style. Very similar. Like very, very, very similar. And apparently this has been in development since about a little bit before, I guess, major development, I should say, in a little bit before 2020. And so it would make sense. You know, that art style was, we've seen the Arcane art style in a few different places. Makes sense that it might be used here. And I think it works. And hopefully, for my own sake, I'm holding out for December 2nd. We'll see how it all pans out when the time comes. Were you ever a Need for Speed guy back in the day yourself, Mr. Black? Did you ever get into it?
Yeah, I mean, I played it a little bit, but I don't give a shit about. I don't really care about racing games all that much. Never did.
That's fair.
It's not really my jam.
That's fair. Not even like an F-Zero back in the day.
Yeah, I mean when I was a kid, but
fuck around with F-Zero a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a game that we did. Where the fuck is F-Zero? When's the last F-Zero game that we got? Oh, Nintendo, what are you doing? For God's sake, you've been sitting on F-Zero for what has to be, holy shit, 25, 30 years. Are we at the 30-year mark yet? I mean, well, it's not quite 30, but it's getting there. Fucking 25 years? Come on now. F-Zero, make it happen. F-Zero is in Mario Kart now. They're not the same game. You can't. I know Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is literally the greatest fucking, you know, monetary win in the history of video games. That shit's like been around for 12 years now. But look, F-Zero, make it happen. The youths want it. The youths want nothing but pure speed and Twitch shit. They're all hyped up on fucking Coke and they're ready. F-Zero. Also, the music in F-Zero is dope. So we could use more of that in our lives. Hideo Kojima did a Hideo Kojima thing, as per usual. He went on Twitter, he posted a picture, it's kind of cryptic, the tweet was cryptic. All we know is that it's in relation to some project that he's currently working on. Don't ask me what the fuck it is. Don't know. I'm not even sure Hideo Kojima knows. I think he just put the picture out. We'll find out whatever the fuck it is. Horror game, not horror game. The semi sort of Xbox cloud exclusive-y thing that he and Phil talked about a while ago. You know, whatever it is. Something's in the works and he's ready to at least tease it with an image. So we'll find out whatever the fuck that is whenever Hideo comes out of his cave and checks for his shadow before it's another 6 years worth of no news from him. Also this week, in more consolidation news and games media, this week, Fandom, known for having the worst website templates in the history of the internet. Some really heinous shit, like bordering on Geneva Convention war crime type shit. Fandom made a big purchase. They picked up, and this isn't everything, but this is some of the big hitters. They picked up GameSpot, Giant Bomb, GameFAQs, Metacritic, and more. All in one foul swoop. Bought them all up. Look, every time consolidation in the games media has happened, it's been bad. Every time. Mostly it just results in websites completely going away. And you'll get like 2 or 3 weeks of like 40 or 50 plus people looking for more work because all of them just get immediately laid off upon these acquisitions and most of the websites get shut down. So far, that hasn't happened too much. Some of it certainly has. But I'm going to have to go with Jeff Grubb on this one since he is involved with it. He's at Giant Bomb. He said, I know a lot of people are not very happy about this from the outside because they've seen what's happened in the past, but he said, you got to believe me when I say that, and this is paraphrasing, you got to believe me when I say that this is a net positive move, at least for us at Giant Bomb, which is good because that company's been passed around like a hot potato. Well, he's getting paid the same. He's getting paid the same no matter what. He's not an owner or anything. He just got brought in as an editor. But nobody in games media is swimming in money. I'll just let you know that right now. Like the absolute top editors, I think in IGN that maybe aren't like, let's say, the editor-in-chief. Like anyway, like if you're making north of 100K, you're basically a god. Most of the people aren't anywhere near that category, and most of them get laid off every 6 months and move to another website. In the last like 10 years has kind of been the cycle. And Giant Bomb's entire family more or less got fucking cycled out here in the last 2 years. So it's not like they're all shareholders making millions of dollars off of Fanbyte consolidating all of these websites at the same time. But I think if anything, he's probably at least happy, and I'm sure many of them are, that thus far they haven't been laid off, which is kind of like the king thing in games media. If you have a job, you're doing well. That's pretty much it. I know of at least 3 people in the last week, however, of major editors that have been around for many years that did get, that were part and parcel of some layoffs, and they're doing the thing where they're like, I can't do this website hopping anymore, and so they're all doing their own individual Patreon stuff. Even Nebellion on Twitter has started to do that stuff, and I don't blame him. He provides a hell of a lot of good work for the entire industry on Twitter. But yeah, it's just a fucking hectic, crazy time in games media, and I don't know how much more consolidation can happen. That's kind of like the fucking show. But those 3 websites at the top, GameFAQs, Giant Bomb, and GameSpot, have been sold, I think, at least 3 times in the last 10 years. It's been a very all over the place situation, and hopefully it is a net positive indeed. And don't, for the love of God, turn all these websites into the Fandom template bullshit, because my God, it's awful. Fucking abysmal. Pretty major news if true, but an older firmware version of PlayStation 5, Mr. Black, jailbroken. Now, if we were like 13 again, we'd be jumping all over the room like, oh shit! Maybe we're gonna get some fucking hacked software in this bitch and run it up. But we're old men now. We're not all that excited about it. I'm not all that excited about it. Lots of people are talking about it. They're like, oh my God, what are the possibilities? Well, none of them are particularly good, to be honest, on a modern console to get jailbroken like this. Now, granted, it did seem to be in the video that was shown older firmware, so we don't know if it can be carried forward into modern firmware on the console. However, if a modern console like this were to get jailbroken, the first thing a lot of people are thinking of is, oh fuck, cheats, hacks, all up in their shit. All of your competitive shooters, Apex, Call of Duty, the whole 9 yards, Warzone, and otherwise, would all be susceptible now to much more deeper rooted hacks instead of just kind of hardware level, or like above hardware level, I should say. And so, yeah, there could be some fuckery that comes with that. And then there's like some stuff that, that will come from it, like maybe trying to understand the console a bit more, and some people will be happy about it if they're like engineers and shit. But for the most part, if this actually was to get cracked like this, then yeah, you're just kind of looking at a bunch of like hacks and fucking cheats running rampant all over the place for those who kind of make use of it. But for now, we aren't 100% sure if this can carry forward into modern firmware. We will have to wait and see. Not that I can imagine being particularly necessary, but sure, why not, Mr. Black? Horizon Zero Dawn, which already had like a bit of a remaster in the first place to a degree when it got brought to PC, is getting, or was confirmed to have a remake/remaster being done currently for the PS5. Jim Ryan, I'm pretty sure, over there, head of Sony, wakes up in the morning, gets his cup of coffee, sits down and says, what game that came out in the last half decade can I get away with spending another $50 million plus remastering? Like, the dude remasters everything that doesn't need a remaster. I can't wait for Horizon Zero Dawn 2, which only came out like fucking last year. Remaster. 4K 120 remaster for the PS5. Coming soon to Jim Ryan's bathroom in the not too distant future. That's all I got for video game news, Mr. Black. That's as good as I could do. Not a lot this week, which means it's time to do a little bit of sellout with the aforementioned NordVPN and 6 simultaneous connections.
Well, before we get into that, it's patreon.com/lagtv. So head on over there, throw your money at the screen, support the podcast. Then you can head on over to nordvpn.com/OTT. Use the promo code OTT. Get yourself a massive discount. Plus, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 bonus months when you use that promo code OTT, guys. 4. Up to 6 simultaneous devices. 30-day money-back guarantee. You can stream on them. You can game and stream on these servers at the same time. They work flawlessly. I've never had an issue. I've been using NordVPN for years. I haven't had a single person out of all the years and all the subscriptions that I have, what's the word we use? That is PG.
What? I would imagine most of them. Wait.
Listen, I've gotten a lot of people to sign up for NordVPN, all right?
What are the non-PG words? What?
I was going to say a couple of words there. I was going to,
Okay.
But I'm
Right.
going to refrain. I'm going to keep it PG.
Okay.
All right?
Just
Nobody's
like
ever
Lord of the
complained.
Rings.
Exactly. Yeah? Nobody's ever complained. Stuff works, and it works well. All right? Stay safe, stay anonymous when you're on the internet. Guys, if they can jailbreak a PS5, imagine what they can do to your PC. They can get right up inside there. Well, with NordVPN, you make it hella difficult. And you can use it even in China. So all those viewers out there in China going, I can't get a VPN over here. Wrong. NordVPN. 30-day money-back guarantee.
All one Chinese viewers that we have.
Hey, got to represent worldwide.
Actually, let me know,
here.
YouTube, if there is a single fucking person in China that watches this show, for the love of God, please let me know.
Let us know in the comment section.
I need to know.
And you better have NordVPN, all right? Because you're going to need that, all right? The internet there is scarce. It's a crazy place when it comes to internet, when it comes to China. Get that VPN. Guys, you can watch different regions of Netflix. Click of a button. You can get more content at your fingertips. It's less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks a month. No joke.
Way less.
Way less. I mean,
way
we all
significantly
saw what inflation did. All right.
Whew.
It's like half the price of a loaf of bread these days. It's half the price of a carton of eggs. You know? To stay safe and anonymous, 2-year subscription, 4 bonus months. When you factor in the extra 4 months, it's even cheaper. So go check them out. It's NordVPN, virtual private network. Make it happen. Promo code OTT. Link is in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube. And that's it.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm so interested if we have a single person in China. Just one.
I'm sure we do. I'm sure we do.
I'm sure if I went on YouTube, I could check the analytics and see, do we have any one person in China? But I just need to know. I'm intrigued now. But Mr. Black, it's time for
movies and TV.
It's either already happened, Mr. Black, or is happening during this podcast at some time. I think it's actually in the next 20 minutes or something.
Yeah,
something like
yet.
that. Yeah. But the internet is ripe for destruction. One Mr. Gene Park described it today as feeling the same as when everyone was waiting for Y2K. Everyone was waiting with bated breath for everything to implode as the world awaited for Chris Pratt to let the world know what his Mario voice is going to sound like. And you know what? My timeline is going to be fucking shattered for the next 48 to 72 hours after this release. I can sense it. It's going to be completely shattered. And what a better time, by the way, for Twitter specifically to release an update that allows you to now post multiples of any media type. Multiple videos, multiple pictures, picture, video combined. The memes have been spectacular in the first 24 hours of that feature being released. And now we're going to get the Mario voice coming out on this. If I see one Pope Francis holding up a fucking video of Chris Pratt's Mario, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. It's probably going to happen a few times, if I'm going to be honest. I don't know. What do you think his voice is going to sound like for Mario? Is he going for faux Italian? Is he going for American Italian, like, New York Italian? Where does Chris Pratt take his Italian voice, Mr. Black? What do you think is going to come out of the man's mouth?
I think it's going to sound like Chris Pratt.
So he's going to no sell it? Like just straight Chris Pratt.
I think there'll be like a slight, almost like a New York sounding tinge to it.
Okay, so a New York Italian, a slight New York Italian tinge to Chris Pratt's voice.
Yeah. That's what I think. Now, if he goes full, it's me, Mario, I'll be impressed.
That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
I couldn't take 2 hours of that in the fucking theater. I'm just be honest.
I couldn't do it either. It's going to sound like Chris Pratt with like a slight accent, I think.
I want to hear Jack Black. Jack Black was Jack Black Bowser or something? Yeah, I think he's Bowser.
He plays Bowser, yeah.
That casting is wild, bro. There's a whole bunch of just insane casting choices for that are I think are like perfect. Chris is like the only one that like on paper you're like what the fuck, and then you forget that he's done so much voice acting that it makes sense. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We're not too far out. By the time this podcast is said and done, there will be video circulating everywhere of the meme that is Chris Pratt's Mario voice. And I can't wait to hear whatever the hell it is. Do we have a date for that movie? I think they released a date for that movie in the last, when they put the poster, they released a poster for it. I thought maybe they gave a date for it as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. Either way, the poster looked great. I'm praying for the best. April 7th, according to Cold Brew, somewhere in that neck of the woods. Sounds about right. Sounds about right to me. In another game to TV special, Mr. Black, that's been announced is Team or Bloober Team. I almost said Team Bloober, but it's Bloober Team. Announced that The Medium will be turned into a TV show. That's the Bloober Team is kind of like the 343 Industries of Silent Hill's development team, where they kind of like. They were kind of sort of trying to take the reins over and then didn't do Silent Hill necessarily. They ended up with a Medium, which was really basically just a subpar Silent Hill, but the story and characters were kind of intriguing, and so somebody said, fuck it, turn it into a TV show. Because that's what's been happening recently. We had a couple like pop off, and I think some people, some producers and some production houses have been looking at some of the hype around things like The Last of Us and some of these other major projects and being like, yeah, let's get in on those kids and their video game to TV adaptations. Let's get in on it. Because we're getting everything now. I mean, we've reached down to the fucking Medium. The game was like crazy fucking mid. Didn't even sell that many copies, but we're getting a fucking TV show out of the shit. And I'm sure they're also hoping, hey, maybe if the TV show does well, just like The Witcher, just like Cyberpunk, maybe this will kick up some fucking interest in our game. It's not going to, by the way. It's not going to happen. Bless them, but it's not going to happen. I hope the TV show turns out okay, though, because I'm sure it could work technically as kind of a horror thriller kind of a situation. Would be kind of fun to watch. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We don't know what platform I think it's going to be on yet. That has yet to be announced as far as I know. And then whether for the memes or otherwise, Mr. Black, the latest House of the Dragon episode. This was all over my timeline yet again. Latest House of the Dragon episode brought back the incredibly popular all dark stylings. Can't see a damn thing that they used in episode 8 for this week's, I think it was this last week's episode of House of the Dragon. Everyone, once again on the internet going, why can I not see a fucking thing? To prompt people to ask themselves, is this intentional? Are they trolling us now? Or are they actually thinking that this is a good-looking scene? Do you think they're trolling people? Or do you think that they legitimately, with an artistic direction, said, fuck it, paint it black?
I think when you make things super dark, you're trying to cover up issues. So,
historically, used for, like, bad CGI.
Yeah,
you know,
I think it's probably dark to begin with, but then it's just a little bit extra dark because they don't want you to see details because they probably look bad.
Somebody said that on their OLED they could still distinguish things because an OLED can reach farther down into the blacks before crushing blacks if you have a halfway decent OLED. But otherwise, I think unless you're on a TV that just had like your brightness and contrast just fucking juiced, you might have had a little bit of trouble. Notwithstanding, or not to say that in episode, in season 8, that episode, you could have turned the brightness up to 100. It wasn't gonna make a fucking difference. That was just that wasn't gonna do anything. However, in this one, yeah, people were a little bit confused that they would double down on the. Don't you guys have $30,000 mastering TVs? No, people do not. Actually, they don't. They have mid-tier Walmart televisions that are not going to display whatever fucking crazy shit you did on your $40,000 or $50,000 Sony mastering OLED monitor in a fucking dark room in a production studio, so that you can see the 5 pixels of the person's face that you tried to put on screen. Especially after it's streamed. Like, that's even worse. Like, if you had, like, the source video, maybe it'd be kind of okay. But, like, when that shit hits streaming services, shit's even worse. Not that either of us have seen it yet. Maybe, you know what? Maybe it's not as bad as people making it out. I haven't seen it. Because I'm still waiting for all the episodes. How many more do we have left before you and I will be watching this?
I think it's 10 episodes long, so I think they're on 7.
Okay, so we're getting there.
Yeah,
we're getting there. We'll be able to indulge soon and give our more complete thoughts on things as we're both waiting for the full release so that we can binge it. And then Lord of the Rings, people are starting to get frustrated. I guess they're feeling like it's too slow and it's not really doing anything. But also they're complaining about how PG it is, I think. I don't know. I never knew that people were hoping for Lord of the Rings to be like fucking rated R, but here we are. Apparently they were kind of concerned about that. I would say that that's probably the least of their concerns because it just seems to just not be holding up very well against House of the Dragon. A lot of people are going to compare them because they're both the biggest budget freaking fantasy television shows currently in production. And I don't think it's quite doing as well. I mean, they literally, I think that, what was it, the lead for the show, the lead producer, was it the lead producer that came out this week and said, or one of the owners or somebody at Amazon came out and said, this wasn't supposed to be our Game of Thrones? To which, in my mind, I was thinking, I thought they specifically said that that's what it was supposed to be, which is why they were spending 6 quadrillion or one whole Star Citizen in order to make this here. I'm gonna start. That's the new metric. How many Star Citizens to make your property? I believe this was one whole Star Citizen, if I'm not mistaken. I think was it 500 mil for this?
North of that, yeah.
North of it. Okay, so it's one point something Star Citizens. Somewhere in that neck of the woods. But the moment you spend that much money and it's fantasy, that's your Game of Thrones. I'm sorry. Whether you intended it to be your Game of Thrones or not, that is your Game of Thrones. And I'll have to wait again. Same thing. Waiting for that to be over so that we can binge it and give our full thoughts on it. But not instilling a lot of confidence in secondhand information. House of the Dragon, lots of positive reviews on that. Across the board, so I'm kind of interested in how that is, at the very least. But we'll see. And other than that, that's all I got for movies and TV news, Mr. Black. I don't think there was a hell of a lot else that went down in this week.
I started watching Dahmer last night.
The Jeffrey Dahmer thing. A lot of people in the black community not particularly thrilled about it being a show, as it turns out. Not that that's surprising. That's not exactly a fucking happy-go-lucky fucking story on that bitch.
No. Yeah, no, it was last night. So last night I'm laying down in bed, and we got an AC machine in there because I like the white noise. Kayla and I just like the noise. I like the room being cold.
We run a fan, an old fan that only has one speed that still works. We run that. So anyway, I turn when the AC is on, our TV in the bedroom, it doesn't we basically have to put it on 100. Like we pretty much have to just crank it full blast in order to fucking hear anything. Well, it's a TV speaker.
TV speaker, right? So I lay down and I'm like, Kayla's like, I'm gonna go work out. I said, okay, cool. So she goes downstairs, she works out. I said, man, fuck this, man. I'm going to get some audio, right? Because like I only like going down in the theater room to watch a movie if we're watching a movie or it's a big show like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. We'll go downstairs and we'll watch it, on a big screen in 4K and enjoy it. But some of the shows that we're watching, like it's not worthy of going downstairs and making a trip out of it. You don't need to, right? So I said, fuck this. I'm going to get some sound. So I go over to Best Buy and I pick up this JBL, it's like 9.1 Atmos soundbar with subwoofer. And it's actually quite cool because
with subwoofer, nothing says bedroom audio like a subwoofer.
Bro, this thing, I went a little too crazy.
Dude, it's JBL. JBL subwoofers are basically like window shattering.
Bro. So the soundbar is really cool. You can take off the sides, so you can have it just at the bar, or you can pop them off and they're wireless, like the ends, and then you can move them.
They become your rears. Yeah.
So I set it up so that the rears are behind the bed, and they get the soundbar subwoofer. Bro, I turn this shit on. I'm like, what have I done? I calibrate the thing, and it's like fucking movie theater in the bedroom. Thank God there's like different settings you can put on for like bass and all this other stuff.
Of course,
man. The shit's crazy. So anyway, I've been enjoying that.
Did you get the subwoofer under the bed?
No, it's not under the bed. It's in front of the bed. It's basically under the TV, but in almost like on the right to sort of an entertainment cabinet.
Yeah.
There's I could actually get it. I could get it under the bed if I laid it on its. I couldn't stand it up. The subwoofer's literally like fucking.
Is it side firing or is it bottom firing?
It come on underneath bottom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you wouldn't want to put it on its side. It wouldn't quite fucking work.
Exactly.
Right.
It wouldn't be right. So you're supposed to stand it up.
Yeah.
And there's just no other like real place I can put it, but it sounds great.
The nice thing about downward firing, which is what I've got in mind, is that you can put it right up against a wall and it's not nearly as much of a problem as if it's rear firing. Because if rear firing and you got the air coming out the sub directly into a wall, it just fucks everything up. And so like if you have a rear firing one, you got to like basically pull your sub fucking 4 feet out into the room. But a downward firing, a little bit better. But that's too fucking funny, dude. JBL Atmos bar with a subwoofer in the bedroom is fucking hilarious.
I went a little nutty,
a little overboard.
Not gonna lie, I just said, you know what, man, I'm just gonna impulse buy this thing, and I'm happy I did. Like, I wish I would have done it a while ago, but
well, you're not gonna have a problem hearing it now.
No. So. That's what I did last night, and we watched the first episode of Dahmer, and it was good. It was like it's creepy as fuck, and it's like it's odd, but sure.
Who knew? It's just it's another true crime has been a huge thing for Netflix, massive, and YouTube, massive on YouTube. Like a lot of content creators doing true crime for a long time, and different social media platforms, but YouTube for sure. Very much popular. But I did see a whole bunch of dissension in the ranks on Twitter about whether or not the show was okay to do or not. In the midst of everything, how did you feel? I mean, you're an actual member of the community. I can't get any whiter if I tried, unless I stayed in this basement longer. So, how did you feel so far? But is that kind of a thing that you get bothered by, or do you not give a shit and just watch it for what it is?
Dude, the world is soft, man. The world's just a bunch of fucking overly sensitive libs. I'm sorry, man. I'm just gonna go out and say it. Okay. And it's just fucking it's entertainment, man. It's dark entertainment
based on a real story. I mean,
If anything, I can see why the family members of these individuals that were impacted by this, they legitimately have a reason to not like this and to relive this, or even just to have this back in their life, like
making money off of a horrible situation that they went through.
Exactly. So, hopefully, I highly doubt, but hopefully the families are being taken care of. in some way or being compensated in some way? Probably not, because it's, fucking Hollywood. But that's the only, I think those are the only voices that really get to complain about this shit. It's like, if black people were complaining about slavery films, you know what I'm saying? Or whatnot, or, it's like,
I mean, I have seen that, just not nearly as much as the Dahmer thing. Yeah,
I've seen it too. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But I mean, people get upset over everything, like this Mario shit, right? Like people be upset about that too, right? So, I get it, but like I don't need to have people telling me what I need to be upset about watching and whatnot. I know what I'm getting myself into when I'm watching the Jeffrey Dahmer fucking show. So
it's not like it's a surprise ending or some shit. Like
I know the story, right? Or I know general, like what he did and the type of people he was after. I get it. I know what I'm walking myself into. To be upset about it, okay. Listen, you can go ahead and be upset, but like don't try and cancel the show or like fucking. You don't get to cancel your way out of everything you don't like in this world. Just move on.
Just don't partake in it.
Don't partake in it. Fucking whiny fucks.
It's like
it's crazy. I don't like this, man. It's just Netflix. Take it down. It's like, dude, you can't take down everything. What do you want this world to be? Like, for fuck's sakes, you can't have any differing opinions. You can't think outside the box. You can't just let other people enjoy other things or be made aware of certain things that happen. You can't. It's not how the world works. I know that's how certain people would like the world to work, but
you don't see a lot of complaints. Some in video games, but not much when it comes to film about doing war movies. That seems to always track okay.
Yeah.
Like, very few people come out like, we got to stop profiting off of
World War II. We got, or Jewish people or however else you want to,
frame, because everyone was affected. So you could frame
everybody. Yeah.
Any way you want at that
point. Exactly. And it's not just black people or, minorities of anything. I mean, it's everywhere, bro. You like, I mean, Jesus.
I think the only thing that people should be concerned about is if it's based in reality, like this is, for example, and it's being done or it's being presented as factual, so it's not being presented
tastefully done.
If it's being presented that way, as long as it remains factual, that's the important part. If they present it that way, but they're being revisionist about it, that's a problem.
Then you have a
problem.
Leg to stand on, right?
Yeah.
But like the call for bootlegging or getting Netflix to remove shit and fuck, it's like, dude, get over yourself.
I don't think the Jeffrey Dahmer story is suddenly making out Jeffrey Dahmer to have been some sort of fucking like
Saint
murder
or something. Yeah, no, the guy's a fuck. The first episode, you're like, this dude is fucked.
They got that right out of the gate, like off the fight. It's just this dude is a mess.
Like a hero. There isn't like, oh well. He's got his own story and like he's, if you get it from his perspective, maybe you understand why. No, he's a crazy psychopathic fucking nutbag and they make him out to look like that. So.
Which, as it turns out, given what he did, isn't really hard to do. Not very difficult. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, which is surprising because I think this is indicative of how busy we've been around here. M is a huge, crime, real crime. She's big in it because she's a psych nurse. So she actually kind of like, she gets right into it, right? When she's watching it, because she actually she interacts with people that are like this with relative frequency. Especially around here where we don't put anyone in jail that has a mental illness like 98% of the time. They could have just gone on a fucking like, I mean, she literally had like only a month and a half, 2 months, well, probably 2 months ago now. She just had a manslaughter patient walk through the fucking front door. The cops brought him there and everyone was like, why is he not in prison being monitored by the psych ward and nurses there? Why is he in a public fucking psych ward? And they were like, oh, we're just bringing him on, have fun. See you, bye. Just leave. So Yeah, she gets, she's already interested in that kind of stuff anyway. So yeah, she's big on like watching the whole fucking thing. So I'm surprised we haven't seen it yet. I'm sure we will. We'll eventually watch it, and who knows, maybe she'll walk through the door one day and be like, I've already seen it. Like she's been like fucking stealth watching that shit on her phone somewhere while I've been working or some shit. But either way, that's all for that, which means it's time to move on to
Tech support.
Patreon.com/LikeTV is the place to go if you want to financially support this podcast and keep the wheels on this bus spinning as much as possible. You get this refresh on here real quick. Damn! We're getting off easy this week, Mr. Black. 5 questions and 2 of them are from Mr. Miyagi.
Wow, look at that.
Easy peasy this week. Normally we got like 11 to 17 of them. We got to get picky choosy. Easy this week. Danish Devil says, oh, it's very topical. It is October now, and it happens every year. The conversation every time. Candy corn. Yay or nay? We got to weigh in on the candy corn discussion, Mr. Black, the discourse. What other polarizing candies or snacks do you also love or hate? But where is your, this is like a political stance, Mr. Black. Where is your candy corn stance?
Candy corn. I am impartial to candy corn.
Neither here nor there?
Neither here nor there. It isn't something, I mean, I do eat a little bit of it during Halloween. Like if there's some stuff there, it's not my favorite. It's not my least favorite. I wouldn't even venture to say it's good. It just is.
It's candy corn.
It's candy corn. So I can think of like 50 different candies that I would prefer to eat. Never go to my way to get some.
No.
But I also don't hate it. So think about it this way. If you're at a party.
Is this the pizza analogy but candy corn edition?
Maybe.
Okay.
If you're at a party.
Yeah.
Right? And there is a candy like what I had at my wedding. A candy bar. Okay?
Yes.
And there are dozen different candies. We're talking, Smarties. We're talking Kit Kat bars. We're talking sour candies, Soothers, Sour Patch Kids. We're talking berries. Those feet, those like red feet.
Yes.
I mean, they got candy corn. They've got all kinds. Okay. My ratio to eating. I'm gonna eat a little bit of everything because it's candy. I mean, I gotta put my hand in almost every jar. I gotta try it out. But there are gonna be if there are 12 jars, and one of them is the candy corn. The candy corn my hand is only going in the candy corn one time, and I'm just doing it because I have to. The other ones I'm going in for seconds and thirds and fourths. I'm not saying that I don't not like candy corn, but if I had to do it from an eating ratio. It's like 1 to 12. Like for every 12 hands I'm taking, I'm only trying candy corn once. That's sort of where I'm at.
So it's a moral obligation because it is there at the table that you must have at least one candy corn.
Correct. It's like if you want to do it a little bit more in layman's terms, if you got a bunch of chips and you've got ketchup chips, dill pickle chips, sour cream and onion chips, all dress chips, barbecue. Chips, sour cream and bacon chips, regular fucking like plain Lay's, regular chips. You got all the chips, and I really don't like sour cream and onion, and then I don't really care for barbecue all that much. Not saying that I don't not like barbecue. Look at all these other awesome choices I have here. But if barbecue is there, I am obligated to at least put my hand in the barbecue chip bowl and grab a few and eat them. But I'm not going back for seconds. I'm going balls deep into some of the other ones, like the all dressed and salt and vinegar. I'm going into the better stuff. But I'm gonna taste. I already know what it tastes like. I already know I'm not a big fan, but I'm gonna try it anyway. That's candy corn.
I like it. I don't mean I don't like candy corn. I like the analogy. I think I think I will go with our pizza analogy from many podcasts past, talking about pineapple on pizza, where the analogy is, if I'm ordering the pizza, I'm not going to put pineapple on the pizza. It's just not going to happen. However, if I'm at, let's say it's a Maximus Black UFC special, and we've got a spread of different pizzas, and it's free fucking pizza. I am paid a dime for this pizza, and the only pizza that is still available to me has pineapple on. I'm gonna eat the fucking pizza. I'm putting it in my mouth because it's free pizza.
That's it.
Okay? It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not my favorite. And just like candy corn, I wouldn't even hazard to say that it's necessarily good. But you know what? It's free, and it's pizza. I'm gonna eat the fucking free pizza. Candy corn. I'm never buying candy corn.
Never.
Of my own volition. Not even once. Like meth. Not once. Candy corn. However, if I'm at a Halloween party, and they've got the fucking all the shit out there, and somebody's got the obligatory fucking candy corn, because if you took an Instagram picture and it didn't have candy corn in it for Halloween, there's something wrong, something missing, so you gotta have it, and it's there. I'm gonna have a couple pieces of fucking candy corn.
That's it. That's how I feel about it too.
Really though, I am kind of surprised it still exists. I gotta be real. It's like one of the last few candies that are like so seasonally specific.
Yeah,
and even
like,
during the season, it's not like everyone's running out to buy fucking candy corn. So I don't know how they're still making it.
It's the Wheel of Fortune of candy, you know? It's just always been there.
and it will always be there.
It will always be there. Pat Sajak and Vanna White.
On puppet strings.
Yeah, just...
Can I get an E, Pat? They just signed for like another 3 seasons or some
That's
shit
so
too.
Fucking crazy. They better be worth hundreds of millions.
Oh, you know how much money those two are worth?
Of millions.
They
Pat
are
Sajak and Vanna White,
swimming.
if they're not worth at least $300 million apiece,
They fucked up.
they have the worst agents ever. I'm sorry. Like every year they're gonna fuck, they gotta be making like 20, 50 million each a season. If not, they crazy as hell.
Like they had a hard time. They're still having a hard time figuring out Jeopardy post the passing. But what the fuck do you do post Pat Sajak and Vanna White?
You close it down.
You just do you just go syndicated television and just reruns for the rest of time?
Yeah,
because they've got like 30 years worth of fucking shit, right?
Oh, bro, the amount of money that they're just making off the syndication is insane. Like every year, just money.
Now I kind of need to know how much those two are worth. I bet you no number online is probably even remotely accurate.
Nowhere near close. But
No.
I can probably look up their salaries. Pat Sajak. I'm not doing the whole net worth, but I'm going to look at the salary here. Salary per episode. He earns $14 million a year to host Wheel of Fortune, and Vanna White $10 million. That's what's publicly said. Now they're probably getting some back end shit, and
yeah, that's probably just
yes.
the cash portion.
Yes.
I could see.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, there's like merchandise, licensing. You know, Wheel of Fortune is everywhere, dude. You got slot machines that are Wheel of Fortune. Fucking, you know, they got everything Wheel of Fortune.
Dude, the syndication portion for just those two for hosting it.
Oh,
not including new episodes. So the 14
kids are going to be cashing checks.
Fucking crazy. Those two definitely won. That was a big dub for both of them. Also, just to wrap this up, what other polarizing candies or snacks do you love or hate? So is there anything that's like technically people don't normally like, but you're a big fan? Or are there other candies that are kind of like a candy corn that you're just not, that's not it for you?
I hate rockets. Hate 'em.
That's just sugar.
Yeah, but I don't like the texture of it.
Oh yeah, the grit. It's good. Well, it's very gritty kind of.
It's like eating sandpaper that breaks apart when you suck on it long enough.
Was that thunder?
It is fucking raining.
Yes, it is. So if the stream just randomly dies, you know why. Yeah, I'm not a big fan either. We should clarify. Rockets in the States are different from rockets here. Rockets, I can't remember what they're called in the States, but we're talking about like the little pill compressed pill form sugar multicolor. That's rockets up here. I think they're actually called Smarties in the States.
They are called Smarties.
And then up here, Smarties is another form of like an M&M, essentially. And we have M&Ms as well, but we have Smarties. Yeah, but any form of like compressed sugar like that has never been my favorite thing. Both because it's just pure sugar and it doesn't give me any real flavor. It's just fucking like like Sweethearts and like you said, Rockets and any of those tablet type like forms should never been my fucking thing. I will say that while I won't eat an entire bag of them, those fucking little banana ones,
they're gross too. I don't like them.
I actually kind of like them, just a little bit.
Oh no, bro, I can't eat them.
I can't eat a lot, but if I have like 2 or 3,
I won't even. Okay. Nah, bro, that's the type of candy that when it's on the table, I'm not even getting a handful.
Allegedly, the banana flavor in those candies, because they're very old. Allegedly, the banana flavor for those candies is closer to the true taste of what bananas were like before we started to modify them into what we have now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, allegedly.
Oh. Allegedly. What's the next
mythological? Let's see. Xenon, what is the most recent game you've installed on your phone, and do you still play it?
Most recent game I've installed on my phone is Raid Shadow Legends.
Wow, okay.
And no.
Not hashtag ad?
I don't. Funny enough is I have 2 games on my phone. Never mind. I just have Raid Shadow Legends now. That's it. Deleted the other one. Okay. And I actually did do a sponsored things with Raid. And I played it on stream for a couple hours. And a bunch of people in the community kept playing it. And I was laying in bed. I was looking at Discord. I said, fuck it. So I got it on my phone. I logged in. I played for a bit. And I probably played for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And then you just get to a certain point in the game if you're not willing to spend money where it's just like, the
grind is real.
It's a grind, man. And I just don't have the time. You know, if I had more free time on my hands, maybe a little different. But yeah, that's it. And I installed that like, man, 8-9 months ago.
I technically have 3, but one was only there just because of like getting, when it first came out to get the daily login stuff if I wasn't at the PC at the time. And that's Genshin Impact. I literally installed it when it first came out, and it was only there for that purpose. I never really played it on the phone, only on the PC. So the 2 games I actually have on my phone that were actively played are Wordscapes and Puzzle Quest 3. Wordscapes is kind of like one of the 1 trillion crossword related games where they give you a wheel of like 6 letters at the bottom of the screen, and then they give you a crossword blank spaces at the top, and you've got to fill the whole thing out just using the 6 letters. So it's that. Em and I are big fans of that. It's like just a thing that we've always kept up and play occasionally. I don't play it that frequently. Usually it'll be like if I'm playing something in bed just before sleep, it's a good thing to kind of like get my brain going and just kind of like tire me out mentally. So I'll play that. Or if we're down, at the family home and we're just hanging out and we just finished playing cards or something, we wanted to like do something different, we'll play a little bit of that. Puzzle Quest 3 I downloaded and played only like a few days of. It's still on the phone. I might go back into it. I played Puzzle Quest on the Xbox 360 arcade a million years ago, and it was one of my favorite Xbox 360 arcade games. And I was like, man, I'd love to get back into it. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of a fun game. I played it, and it's pretty good, but it's been phone gamified. And so, like, just like other stuff, there's you know, it's microtransaction fucking laden and grinding and all the other bullshit that comes along with phone games. So, yeah, there's it's not quite the same experience, but I still kind of enjoy the Puzzle Quest system. Miyagi, you've asked it 2 weeks in a row. I can't ask that fucking question. The shit's crazy. Cold Deer asks, fall is here. Yes, it is. How often do you just go for a drive or a walk just to enjoy the fall weather and colors?
Like at least twice a week.
Yeah, pretty much. Somewhere in that neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. It won't be as nice this year because we had the hurricane and it fucked a lot of the trees up, both for getting rid of a lot of the leaves, and also when that happens, it tends to like shock the trees and it passes through some colors immediately. Like it goes from like green and just skips right to ass and doesn't give you like your fucking like full fucking like color spectrum, which I'm sure Cape Breton right now, tourism is thrilled with the fact that we got bombed with that right before their peak fucking tourist like 3 weeks. But yeah, a couple times a week. Fall weather is peak walking weather. It doesn't get better. It's warm enough that you don't have to wear 1,000 layers, but it's cool enough that you're not sweating your ass off, even if you're walking at like high noon outside. It is the best time to go for a walk. The air is crisp, feels good. It's the way to go. So yeah, a couple times a week is not uncommon. Okay. This one maybe I can get away with, so I'll try. Are you ready for this one? This is a Mr. Miyagi one. All right, are you ready for this one?
All right.
All right.
You ain't gonna get me canceled though, man. So
No, I think you're okay.
all right.
Please describe the state of the British monarchy using only penis analogies.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. Come on, man.
There's not a lot to run with, but I will say this much. To be brief, to end the show on. I'm brave enough, I'll do it. Oh, you just tried to log in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cause I have two. I have 2FA. I'll get you later.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Figuratively and literally, I am pretty certain that the British monarchy is currently being upheld entirely by either on-brand or an off-brand variant of Viagra. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is another Technical Alpha podcast. Thank you very much for stopping by this week. It's a shorty. I'm going to go and find out just how Chris Pratt Mario is going to sound, and then we'll talk about it maybe next week. Thank you very much for stopping by once again. We'll see you guys next week for some more of this. And until then, stay safe out there and don't get too frightened by Chris Pratt. Peace!
Peace!